Hello, hello, evening, good morning, good afternoon. This is Phoebe speaking from Hanoi, Vietnam, and welcome to my channel. Today is August 19, 2021, Thursday. So, welcome you guys to participate in my 30-day English reading challenge with Phoebe. My name is Phoebe, and today's day 16. I'm so happy to continue this challenge because, like, I I think day 15 maybe like it was week or more earlier, so like more than a week I come back. So like preliminary or like at the beginning the plan of the 30-day challenge is like to do it like every day, consecutively every day, not like doing like every week like this. But who knows, because I was too busy. I know it's another excuse. But how are you? How are you? I'm my student, because she cannot join the class at 8 p.m. my local time, so that I can have some time for myself to do this challenge. And yesterday, like, I took the challenge. I don't think so. Like, I learned with a boy, and instead of learning pronunciation, because it's not good at that part. So we read together at the CNA, Channel News Asia, for the news in CNA. Like instead of doing this um, kind of like doing live streaming like myself like this, he joined me in 1 hour, and it triggered a huge interest in me, that I'm missing this activity a lot. I do really want to have some time for myself to read. And for yesterday, it was about Taliban politics situation, right? Like lots of people flew away from Taliban, Afghanistan, because of the chaotics there, like the chaotic, the the chaos the chaos there. And it was so I was gathered as well gathered looking at the images and reading the news about them. So like I really want to read more about Afghanistan, and yes, of course, to know about the COVID-19 situation there and here and there, in Vietnam and in Singapore, other countries in Asia, what's going on with the UK and with the US. So I think it's a good time for me, because like my friend, she cannot join me, so why not joining myself in this challenge? Anything is great. I'm not quite sure if you can hear me or not, but I'm having lots of fun myself. You know, CNA for sure. Of course, will be CNA. Huge fan, huge fan. CNA, like the way the oh, I'm distracted. No, I'm trying to scroll down to CNA, because like recently I saved lots of interesting things about BKPP. Okay, so here we go in Channel News Asia, and why not? Why not? Top stories. So let's go one by one for all the headlines of today, and let's see, like, besides the Afghanistan situation, like if I want to read more, go. So here I'm navigating myself to the top stories section. Go. Let's go with all the titles, all the headlights. Singapore to launch its first vaccinated travel lanes with Germany and Brunei. Wow. Some fully vaccinated COVID-19 patients with mild or no symptoms to be isolated at home under MOH pilot. Singapore very likely to have a COVID-19 vaccine booster exercise. Ong Ye Kung. Singapore to allow differentiated COVID-19 safety rules for travelers vaccinated overseas. 29 new locally transmitted COVID-19 cases in Singapore, 13 unlinked. Dining in, no contact sports allowed for fully vaccinated people in more Malaysian states starting August 20. Bets East, ultimate Indian fishball me experience in Tupaya. It's not sustainable. Buffet restaurants struggling with COVID-19 measures. Benjamin Glenn, convicted of max offenses, released from prison after jail term is backdated and will be deported. Former DJ D Course, charged with sexually exploiting young person and other sex-related offenses. Parakatan National gives conditional support for Ismail Sabri decision ensures policy continuity. We were we were worried. Kai and Tiatia's keeper on Pana Cup birth. COVID-19 vaccination advisory for workplaces being reviewed with view to drive up rates from mom. COVID-19 outbreak exposes New Zealand's low vaccination rates. Greener system of cooling buildings may be set up in Tampines, paving the way for more eco-friendly towns. Biden sees chaos as US presses Taliban to let Afghans leave. So they are all about Singapore. I don't know why. Like I don't even I don't even know this any COVID-19 situation in other countries. Like only about the new cases arise in New Zealand because of the low vaccination rate and nothing. How about let this new about sport? No idea, don't care. About business? Do you mind? I don't mind. About Asia? With Asia, it's all about like so many Malaysia and Singapore, they are friends. So and lots of Malaysian now living and working in Singapore and vice versa. So like the way that two countries they are like broadcasting and they are like knowing and writing things about each other is so norm. It's a norm. It's normal. But like, I want to hear more about other countries. I want to know about the protests in Thailand, or maybe it only happened during weekends. Do you care about best actor? Dutch film awards go gender neutral. Tesla, Japanese firms to build energy storage facility. Tesla, Japanese firms to build energy storage facility in Hokkaido. Or you care about Chinese regulators summon Evergrande bosses one on debt risks. I think I'll be going back to the Afghanistan. Okay, so here's the news. Biden's okay. Here we go. Is it very long? Yeah, I think that's enough for today. So maybe one article is okay. But like, I'm surprised. I'm surprised. So, hi, follower. If you are watching me, please go to the CNA and please find the article with the title as Biden sees chaos as US presses Taliban to let Afghans leave. Biden sees chaos as US presses Taliban to let Afghans leave. Leave them alone. Let them live. A Taliban fighter searches the bags of people coming out of the Kabul airport after the militant sweep capture of Afghanistan. Washington. US President Joe Biden said on Wednesday, August 18, it had been impossible to leave Afghanistan without chaos. Chaos or chaos. Chaos. How do you spell it? I, chaotic. Chaos. Chaos. Okay, I'm right. It had been impossible to leave Afghanistan without chaos as the United States pleaded, pleaded, pleaded with the victorious Taliban to allow safe passage for people to flee, play, pleaded, plead, beg, or claim, make an emotional appeal, pleaded, plead, pleaded, go sin, ask for something, pleaded, beg, or claim, pleaded with the victorious Taliban to allow safe passage for people to flee amid desperate scenes at Kabul airport, where US forces against the clock are racing against the clock to evacuate tens of thousands of people. Biden stood, Biden stood by his decision to end the 20-year US war. Biden stood by his Biden stood by his decision to end the 20-year US war in Afghanistan. The idea that somehow there's a way to have gotten out without chaos ensuing. The idea that somehow there's a way to have gotten out without chaos ensuing. I don't know how that happens, but I said in an ABC News television interview, the idea that somehow there's a way to have gotten out, to have gotten out without chaos ensuing. What does ensuing result, ensuing, ensuing without result, without ensuing. I don't know how that happens. The Biden administration had long promised an orderly drawdown of America's longest war, where the president says US forces no longer have any national interest in fighting in a protracted conflict. What does it mean? What does it mean? Biden administration had long promised an orderly drawdown, drawdown, oh, draw down, a reduction in the size or presence of a military force. Ah, okay. Draw down, thu quân, a draw down. Sorry, let me close this. Let me close this. I'm checking if I'm seeing any, what's that? Email. Okay, good job. Okay, so good. Yeah, nothing special here. Tomorrow I will respond to. Sorry, I'm checking email because I'm curious. So draw down, draw down, draw down. Like when you bring, for example, for a study, when you conduct a clinical trials, you bring 8 CIs with you on site, and then when you're there, it turns out that you only need like 2 or 3 series. You do not need the whole big team there. So like the activity, the action of bringing back 6 series, we call it a drawdown. A drawdown is a reduction of the presence of military force, or in the size or presence, or a decline in an investment or fund, a reduction in the size or presence of a military force. The unit is the first to leave Germany as part of the drawdown. Orderly drawdown. Wow, had long promised an orderly drawdown of America's longest war, where the president says U.S. forces, U.S. forces or U.S. militaries no longer have any national interest in fighting in a conflict, protracted conflict. Biden, in the ABC interview, said that in the interview can you interview in the ABC interview, said that he hoped that thousands of US troops sent back to Afghanistan for the evacuations will be out by August 31st, the deadline he set to end the war. But for the first time, he said they could stay longer, adding, "If there's American citizens left, we're going to stay to get them. If there's American citizens left, we're going to stay to get them all out." The president, who has acknowledged that he was stunned by the swift collapse of the U.S.-backed Afghan government, ordered the takeover of the Kabul airport to run evacuations. What does it mean? The president, who has acknowledged that he was stunned. I was stunned, astounded, uh, astounded. We call it astound, stunned. I was stunned. It's so stunning. It's so stunning. It's so stunning. Wow. Astonished. I was stunned. As- Astound. 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 Astounded. Astounded. So astounding. It's so astounding. I was stunned. It was stunning. I was stunned by the swift collapse of the US-backed Afghan government, ordered the takeover of the Kabul airport to run evacuations. He said the Taliban were cooperating on letting Americans get out, but added, "We're having some more difficulty having those who helped us when we were in there." Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman voiced alarm at accounts of harassments and checkpoints for Afghan nationals, despite the Taliban's promises not to carry out reprisals. Reprisal, retaliation, retaliation, revenge, reprisal, reprisal. We have seen reports that the Taliban, contrary to their public statements, contrary, contrary to their, contrary to their, contrary to their public statements and their commitments to our government are blocking Afghans who wish to leave the country from reaching the airport, Sherman told reporters. U.S. diplomats and military officials are engaging directly with the Taliban to make clear that we expect them to allow all American citizens, all third country nationals, and all Afghans who wish to leave to do so safely and with the harassments, she said. Aircraft have been piped cheek to jaw, with Afghans fearing for their lives, with deaths reported after people crawled onto jets and fell upon takeoff, cheek to jaw, the lower part, hàm dưới jaw. What does it mean? Like when you say cheek to jaw, cheek to jaw. He's sleepy, sorry. Ah, you know who you should say sorry for? It's myself. Cheek by jaw, phrase of cheek, meaning of cheek by jaw, very close together. Ah, so aircraft have been packed cheek to jaw, were very closely people in there with Afghans fearing for their lives, with deaths reported. After people crawled onto jets and fell upon takeoff, Sherman said that the future U.S. relationship with the Taliban was at stake and also vowed to watch carefully their promises to ensure the rights of women and girls who were barred from education and outside employment during the Islamist draconian draconian 1996 and 2001 regime was at stake was at the stake a strong wooden territorial division support with a stick out. Oh, it's so sleepy. At stake to be won or lost, at risk. People's lives could be at stake, at risk, at stake, at issue or in question, was at stake, and also vowed to watch carefully their promises, 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 promises to ensure the rights of women and girls were barred from education and outside employment during Islam's draconian, harsh, draconian, draconian, harsh, severe, strict regime, 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 government or system, regime. The Taliban are hoping to create a government in Afghanistan. They seek legitimacy. They seek legitimacy. We are all watching their actions, she said. We use every economic, diplomatic, and political tool we have to hold the Taliban to their words. Limits outside airport. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin promised the United States would evacuate as many people as possible, but acknowledged the limitations with the Taliban in charge, except at the airport. We don't have the capacity to go out and collect large numbers of people, Austin told reporters. The evacuation will go on until the clock runs out and we run out of capacity. More than 4,800 people, including US citizens, including US citizens and Afghans, have been evacuated since troops secured Hamakazi International Airport, while the US Embassy has been temporarily, temporarily, temporarily relocated. But tens of thousands more Afghans are expected to seek to leave for fear of Taliban retribution, including interpreters for the U.S. military, workers for U.S. non-governmental organizations, and media outlets and women's rights activists. Retribution, retribution, punishment. Wow, retribution. A fear of Taliban retribution, including interpreters for the U.S. military, workers for U.S. non-governmental organizations and media outlets, and women's rights activists. Third-party nationals have faced severe problems, with the Netherlands saying its first evacuation flight returned without a single Dutch or Afghan national as U.S. troops blocked them from entering the airport. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan on Wednesday renewed an offer for his country to help protect the airport, an offer he first pitched directly to Biden in June. What? Wow. I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine. It's so scary. Like to me, like for us, sometimes like having stresses at work or having conflicts with our mom, having some arguments with our friends, or not. Yeah, it's not a good day. It's raining. It's sunny. So we are sulking, right? We're sulking, right? We are sulking. How to say that? Too bright. Sorry. Sulk. We're sulking. We are not comfortable with all the very small things. Like me, when my colleagues they raise voices to me, or they are too lazy, or they are not, they are delaying work. Like I will feel not good, and I may feel like, okay, what's wrong with them? I feel so tired, and I want to change thing. Okay, sorry, CC. Okay. So, oh, right, Lord. Or when our moms check on us, like what's going on with the marriage, going out to boyfriends, or many small things like that, and we feel like we cannot bear with that. It was so crazy. That's too much. And you can see that lots of people they choose for the suicide. They commit a suicide because they cannot bear with the stress. Of course, I'm not judging them because I was not them for sure. Like, but like after reading this article about the war, I feel goosebump myself right now because I feel like peace is the best. As if I can still like sitting here during this live stream, still can feel the wind from the fan, you can feel the light, can still have the roof to be in, the roof to shelter. I'm having everything. I still get bored, still get uh how to say disappointed, get stressed. What's wrong? I don't know, but like look at these people. They do not know their future. Yeah, you can see the very harsh Taliban Taliban the very harsh Taliban regime. system. They are so crazy. They were so dangerous. Like all the people right now, they are so afraid of the retribution, the punishment, the retribution of Taliban on women, on girls. They're not supporting. They are racist. They are racist. They are sexist. They're not protecting for girls and women. And now all the activists, all the people who are supporting for women and girls before, they are so scary now because so that's the reason why they need to flee out of the Afghanistan. The country was used to be their home, the second home. Right now, they are facing with the very dark future. They have no future once officially the Taliban take over the country. Afghanistan again. Like the war, they can destroy everything. The fights, there will be fights, there will be blood, there will be every most terrible things will be happening in there. So like to me, like I feel so lucky. I feel so lucky because here you are seeing me. Yeah, I feel I'm gutted. I'm gutted right now. I feel so emotional right now. Like I'm worried. My heart is with Afghans. My heart is now with the Afghans, and I do hope that U.S. troops, the U.S. forces, or other countries, they can do it, can give a hand to the people who want to leave the country. They are. Oh, I feel pity for them. And I don't know, but maybe in the past, during the wartime, the Vietnam experienced the same thing. Our parents, our grandparents, the generation of the 1950 of like Vietnamese people, we hear they're heroes. Like oh, like there's thanks for them. Like we won in the French war, we won in the American war in our land here, and then we claim back our independence. So thanks for all the heroes that I'm having this peace right now. And I cannot imagine like back then when I was in that period, how should it be? How should I feel? Like I couldn't believe that here now 2021 when the whole world is still fighting with the COVID-19, and there in the country people are fighting for their lives. Maybe, who knows, after August 31st, so the US President Joe Biden, he said that like officially by August 31st, all the military, all the US forces will be out of the country, bringing with all the people. And they just promised that they will watch from afar to ensure that all the words promised by the Taliban, they will keep it, and to ensure that all the people from the third party nationals or the Afghans who want to leave the country, they can go. But they need so instead of saying all the plain things, they should take actions. I'm worried right now. And I do hope that the global community can raise our voice and to protect for the country. So bad. I feel so bad. I'm so sorry. I feel so sorry. Like, so like whenever in the future, yeah, what's wrong with what's there's nothing wrong with like with colleague not being proactive, not going wrong with any delaying. We are people, and together, at least together, we have a good heart together. We build a strong team. We will do everything. We can make it. We can make everything. So come, give people time. Sure. So I think or I think I'll read one more article commentary. The international community has failed Afghanistan again, or no regrets over Afghanistan withdrawal when it should have plenty. Islamic scholars to decide role of women in Afghanistan. I think I will read about the international community. The international community has failed Afghanistan again. Defeat in Afghanistan is not only a military one, but of the commitment professed by the international community, says former journalist Edmund Roy. Man tried to get inside Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul, Afghanistan. Ah, New South Wales. In September 1996, I, along with a group of journalists based in New Delhi, followed the Taliban into Kabul. It was a cold day all around. All round, there were munitions piled high on the side of roads, bloated bodies, and destroyed buildings. Munitions. What's that? Is the car that munition? Military weapons, equipment, munitions piled high on the side of roads, bloated, swollen, swollen bodies, and destroyed buildings. The corpse, the corpse of President Muhammad Najibullah had just been cut down from a post in the corpse of president has just been cut down from a post in the city's main square, and the whole universe appeared to be crying at the senseless slaughter that had engulfed this slaty grey landscape. The corpse, dead body, the corpse, the corpse of president had just been cut down from a post in the city's main square, and the whole universe appeared to be crying at the senseless slaughter that had engulfed, inundated this slaty grey landscape. But it wasn't the sights of violence that I remember most. Rather, the image that stays with me is that of spools of tips from cassettes flying like banners, festoons even on trees that were bereft on leaves, spools of tips like banners deprived on trees that were bereft of leaves. A foreboding sight, apprehensive, dimbow, a foreboding, a foreboding sight, a sight that told you, a sight that told you of what was to come, of a regime that hated music, a regime that destroyed anything that gave you joy, a regime that would help those who would inflict one of the worst atrocities in the heart of the world's financial center, a regime that would have those who would inflict one of the world atrocities in the heart of the world's financial center. Later that evening, traveling with freelance journalist, journal, journalist, journalist, and photographer John Jopke, I was fortunate to meet a brave Afghan woman who had worked for the United Nations as a translator who felt who feared not only for her life but for her family and her entire gender. She was an obvious target, she said, but she was more worried about the next generation of female children and what the Taliban had in store for them. She had taken a great risk. She had taken a great risk speaking out and was almost certain she would not survive the week. As it happened, she and her family managed to escape to a refugee camp in neighboring Pakistan. From there, from where 3 years later she made her way to Canada. Story revisited, watching the Taliban re-enter Kabul 20 years later. Oh, you're here. Hello, yeah, I'm reading about Afghanistan because yeah, Taliban as well. So because my student at 8 p.m. she cannot join the class. So because she was tired, so I have 1 hour for myself from 8 to 9. Then I will be having class at 9 p.m. So now what? If you are reading CNA, I'm now reading the commentary with the title as "The International Community Has Failed Afghanistan Again." So this is the second article. The first one was with the Biden statement regarding how and when the US troops will all leave the Afghanistan. And he said that by August 31st, the whole US forces will be out of there. And he promised to take all of US citizens out of that country. And he said that he will watch out from afar, like how the new regime, the new Taliban system are doing. And he said that like he wish or he is hoping that all the third party nationals and all the Afghans who want to flee out of the country, they can do so. So after reading that article, I feel so worried, so sorry for them. I feel like we are so lucky right now, like in this peace. So the most our concerns every day is just like the stress at work, about the conflicts with our parents, about the fights with our colleagues, about the deadlines at work. But people out there, as you can see, that the Afghans in the Afghanistan, they are fighting for their lives with no future. And they said that the Taliban government, they are so harsh, they are so crazy with women and girls, like all the women activists, all the female interpreters, and everyone like who were supporting for the US government. They are so scared of the retribution, meaning that the punishment from the Taliban government. They are so worried right now that they want to get out of the country. But you can see that you can see the incidents happened in the Kabul International Airport, right? And the President Joe Biden, he said that the U.S. government, they will be trying their best to evacuate, to evacuate, to rescue for the people. But when the clock runs to the last minute, they will be trying their best, but they cannot say for sure. So I feel so bad after reading that article, and I want to know more. So right now I'm reading the new article, the second one for tonight, and it's named "The International Community Has Failed Afghanistan Again." And I'm now in the second part of the article. speaking the first part. So this post was written by a journalist, and he described about Afghanistan in 1996 during the first Taliban takeover, like dead bodies on the street, munition. That image is so terrible. Like he described here, there were munitions piled high on the side of roads, bloated bodies, and destroyed buildings. What a view! What a situation there back then in 1996 in New Delhi, yeah, in Taliban, in Kabul. So right now, like he said that history revisited. Watching, okay, so I'm now trying. It will be too long, so I have 10 minutes left. I will continue with the second paragraph of the history revisited. Watching the Taliban re-enter Kabul 25 years later, and there's nothing that hasn't been told and retold. Nothing that hasn't been repeated over and over. History repeating itself for those of us who have clearly not learned from it. And yet, from the past 2 decades, there have been changes. Civil institutions began to take root. Universities and schools did what they were meant to do. Libraries remained open, and there was some hope on the horizon. Not anymore. We have abandoned the Afghan people yet again. Australia's commitment to its Afghan allies has followed the trajectory of its dealings with similar allies in the past. We have We have abandoned the Afghan people yet again. Australia's commitment to its Afghan allies has followed the trajectory of its dealings with similar allies in the past. Followed the tra- tra- trajectories the path. Uh, but what's wrong there? Whether the so-called fuzzy wuzzy angels of Papua New Guinea or South Vietnamese allies following the fall of Saigon, Australians really don't have a good record of looking out for those that have us in conflict zones around the globe. So sad hearing so. German and British ambassadors stayed on in Kabul almost to the end to sign visas for their local staff, whereas the Australian embassy packed up months ago, leading to complaints about leading to complaints about roadblocks for people trying to flee the coming danger. Kabul has fallen, and so have we. Kabul has fallen, and so have we. For that for that is not just about Afghanistan; it's about us. The oft invoked international community. It's about how Australia and the West will be perceived untrustworthy, unreliable, disloyal. It must surely carry a message, a predilection to not follow through that which was promised, a defeat not only militarily but of professed values. Really that bad about the Australian government? How can they do so with the Australians stuck there in the Afghanistan? You see the German and British ambassadors, they stay there and they are still there to support for the visa, support for the old papers for their people. But look at the Australian embassy, they picked up months ago. So how about the people there? So now hearing we are hearing the words describing for the Australian government untrustworthy, unreliable, disloyal. Are you serious? That that's terrible. It must surely carry a message. A predilection. What does predilection mean? The liking predilection, a preference, a predilection to not follow through that which was promised, not follow what which was promised. Are you kidding me? Not a defeat, not only militarily, but of professed values as well. So declared, professed, supposed values. Change, it is said. It's inevitable for Afghanistan. The more things change, the more it remains the same. What? I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Like, who's the journalist? The journalist here is Australian or Afghanistan? Edmund Roy. So how can they say something about that? About the Australian government? It seems like it's targeting to the Australian. So what's wrong with other countries? They are saying nothing about this situation in the Afghanistan. I don't know. This article is not clear. It's not clear about like what's going on. How other countries voice about this chaos, about this fight, about this takeover in Afghanistan. I want to hear about the Canada. I want to hear about the European countries. I want to hear about the, of course, U.S. They take all the forces out of the they end the world. So I have no idea about the U.S. But other countries, what are they thinking about this case? It's so vague, and it's not just vague. I want to read more. I want to read more. Or maybe tomorrow I can watch Vietnamese television to read the news about like Vietnam, whether we are voicing, we're speaking anything. Our spokesperson saying anything about the politics fight here, the situation in Afghanistan. But right now, like, I feel I'm not satisfied. I'm not satisfied with this article. Like the only one and remaining impression to me after reading this article, it's about the Australian government and the very worst thing they have done in like flying away months ago, ignoring all the people there. How can they do so? How can they do that with their people? Jesus. So I am 4 minutes left, and I need to be out to prepare for my class at 9 p.m. So thanks and for watching, and thanks anyone else here out there and in the future maybe watching this video. So I hope that you are motivated, you are inspired a bit to learn English. To me, learning via reading is very important. It's so helpful as well. Like, to me, after just reading two other articles, I learned a lot about what's going on around the world, and of course, for the new words as well. So take over. Let's join me in this journey, in this challenge, if you're interested in so I'll be ending this live stream now, and a kiss from Vietnam, and a good night. Bye bye, see you some next time on day 17. Like, I cannot guarantee, but see you. My love you. Bye.